that was shared by Cardinal Christoph Schönborn, who is a Dominican, and he's inaugurating this restored Dominican church in Vienna. And what can I say? When you look at this altar that they've put in here, this glass altar. So this is the altar that they've put in on the Dominican church. This is the money that they've spent on 2 years during a pandemic. The church goes on and on and on about Laudato Si, caring for our common environment, respecting our resources, blah, 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 blah. And then they go off and they spend thousands on an altar that they don't need. They don't need it. What's wrong with using the altar here that you have behind the altar that generations would have paid for, with this beautiful statue of Our Lady above it? What is wrong with using the resources that previous generations left us? That is perfectly fine. Beautiful altar. If we go in here and we look at it, I mean, it's a beautiful altar. What's not to like about this? I mean, this is the craziness that we see in the church today. We go on about Laudato Si and respecting everything, but I mean, come on, guys. We have here this candle stand, and so this is it's laughable, the fact that they've gone out and spent money on this when they had a perfectly good altar in that church. Does this bring more faithful back to the faith? Does this enhance the faith? Does this grow the faith? Not one bit. There has been no fruits from this renovation that we've seen over the last number of years since Vatican II, tearing out altars, spending money that's waste, in my opinion, especially when we have that altar that the previous generations left. What's wrong with it? Can somebody tell me? Does the sacrifice of the Mass not work there? I mean, I sometimes I despair when I see what's going on in the church today, and that's just my opinion. Why we have to disregard what previous generations left us? What is this madness that we see in the church? This waste of money. So the next time I hear a priest or a bishop or the Pope come at us about Laudato Si and caring for our common environment and respecting resources, I really do think somebody should share this video with them. This is 2022. If caring for our common environment, why can't we respect the resources that were paid for and left by previous generations? Resources that are still perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the altar, this altar here that was left by previous generation. Absolutely nothing wrong. This is an old church. We don't need to destroy or add to it. You don't need a new altar when you have a perfectly good altar there. I'm sorry to rant on a bit, but I just find the aesthetics on this, it doesn't fit in the church. It doesn't fit the architecture. It just looks completely out of place. It's just a waste of money, especially when you have a perfectly good, beautiful altar in that church. This doesn't add to it. It won't make it more sacred. I do wonder sometimes what is going on in the church when we see this. Anyway, just my thoughts on it, sharing. Okay, God bless. Take care. Bye-bye. To read something from Laudato Si here. This is the encyclical that Pope Francis published back in 2005. So it's Laudato Si, the encyclical Laudato Si, the Holy Father, a care for our common environment. And so if you look up resources, because this is where I'm quoting from, our industrial system, at the end of its cycle of production and consumption, has not developed the capacity to absorb and reuse waste and byproducts. No, we have not yet adopted to managed to adopt a circular model of production capable of preserving resources for present and future generations while limiting as much as possible the use of non-renewable resources, moderating their consumption, maximizing their efficient use, reusing and recycling them. So guys, here is just look at here, and so when somebody comes after me about this hideous altar here, ask yourself, is the church teaching a coherent message when it comes to using the church's own resources? Okay? This is just a vanity project for God knows who in the Dominicans. A vanity project. And here you have a perfectly good altar that can be used. It can be used. The Novus Ordo Missae, the new order of the Mass, was designed to be said on an altar facing away from the people. There are parts in the Mass, the new Mass, where it says, and the priest turns to the people. It's in the right. There's nothing wrong with this old altar that was there, that was paid for by previous generations. Using that would be frugal and would comply with Pope Francis's own maximizing their efficient use, reusing and recycling them. A serious consideration of this issue would be one way of counteracting the throwaway culture which affects the entire planet. Like guys, just think about the throwaway culture that we have in the church today. We've thrown away our altars, our altar rails. We've this constant redesign of church properties for what does absolutely nothing to renew the faith. Let's be a bit coherent here. So next time they come looking for money to buy a bloody piece of glass, sorry to be a bit passionate, next time that you see religious orders and priests and they come, oh no, we're going to redesign we need some money to renovate the church, tell them to go pick up Laudato Si and to cop on. This is just gone beyond. I'm sorry, I'm just a bit passionate about it. But anyway, I just wanted to make you aware, this is the Pope's own text, for this is the encyclical that the Pope Francis himself wrote. And yet we see in 2022 Dominicans in Vienna that, go out and spend money on what? For what? Will this grow the faith? Will this make... It will do absolutely nothing. You have a perfectly good altar there. It will suffice. You will be able to offer the sacrifice of the Mass. Anyway, just my little rant. God bless. Take care. Bye bye.